My dear friends, my brothers and sisters, waking up early isn't just about setting an alarm. It's about choosing yourself before the world starts demanding from you. Every morning gives you two choices: to sleep a little more and dream, or to wake up and build those dreams. Most people think waking up early is difficult, but the truth is, staying stuck in the same life is much harder. Waking up early is a choice, not a talent. Many people believe that some are born disciplined while others aren't, but that belief is only a comfort for excuses. Nobody is born loving early mornings. Nobody wakes up happy with alarms, and nobody naturally enjoys leaving a warm bed when the world is still asleep. What separates people isn't ability, it's decision. Every morning asks a simple question: will you choose comfort or will you choose growth? Talent is something you may or may not have, but choice is something you use every single day. When you wake up early, you're not proving that you're strong. You're proving that you're intentional. You're saying that your life matters enough to be protected from laziness. You're saying that your future deserves effort, even when your body asks for rest and your mind creates reasons to delay. Most people wait to feel motivated before they change, but motivation is unreliable. Some days it shows up, most days it doesn't. Choice doesn't depend on mood. Choice works even when you feel tired, even when yesterday was heavy, even when life feels unfair. Waking up early teaches you that progress doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It begins in discomfort, in silence, in moments when nobody is watching. Early mornings aren't magical because of the clock. They're powerful because of what they represent. They represent self-respect. They represent boundaries with distractions. They represent the courage to face yourself before facing the world. When you wake up early, you spend the first moments of your day with purpose instead of panic, with intention instead of reaction. People often say, "I can wake up early," but what they really mean is, "I haven't decided to." Because when something truly matters, you find a way. A mother wakes up early for her child. A dreamer wakes up early for their vision. A survivor wakes up early because giving up isn't an option. Choice becomes easy when the reason is clear. Choosing to wake up early also means choosing to break patterns. It means refusing to live on autopilot. It means understanding that comfort zones feel safe but keep you small. Growth asks for sacrifice. And sometimes that sacrifice is just one extra hour of sleep. That hour may feel small, but repeated daily, it becomes a statement about who you're becoming. But who you're becoming. This choice builds trust with yourself. Every time you wake up early, you keep a promise you made silently the night before. That trust becomes confidence. Confidence becomes consistency. Consistency becomes change. You stop waiting for life to push you, and you start leading yourself gently but firmly. But firmly. There will be days when the bed feels heavier than your goals, when the alarm feels cruel, when yesterday's failures whisper that effort is pointless. On those days, choice matters more than belief. You don't need to feel strong to act strong, you just need to move. Sitting up, placing your feet on the floor, taking one deep breath. These small actions remind you that control still belongs to you. Waking up early isn't about winning against sleep. It's about winning against delay. Delay steals dreams quietly. Choice brings them closer without noise. Each morning becomes a vote for the person you want to be. Even if no one applauds, even if no one notices, even if progress feels invisible. Mornings give peace before pressure begins, before messages start arriving, before expectations pile up, before the world starts asking for your attention. The early hours hold a quiet kind of mercy. It's the only part of the day that doesn't rush you. It doesn't demand answers. It doesn't judge how fast you move. It simply exists, waiting for you to show up. In those early moments, life feels softer. The noise of comparison is absent. The weight of responsibility hasn't fully settled on your shoulders. It's nature's way of reminding you that clarity comes before chaos if you're willing to meet it. Pressure builds as the day moves forward. Deadlines, opinions, traffic, calls, and expectations start stacking one over another. By the time most people wake up, they're already late, already anxious, already chasing time. The morning gives you a head start, not in speed, but in calm. It allows you to enter the day prepared instead of panicked. Peace in the morning doesn't mean life is easy. It means your mind isn't crowded yet. You can think without interruption. You can sit with your thoughts instead of running from them. You can listen to your inner voice before outside voices grow louder. That inner voice often knows exactly what you need, but it can only speak when the world is quiet. When you wake up early, you create space to reflect, space to plan, space to heal. You can move slowly without guilt. You can drink water without scrolling. You can breathe without explaining yourself. This space protects you from unnecessary pressure later in the day because you've already met yourself in peace. Pressure feels heavier when peace is missing. When the day starts in a rush, the body stays in survival mode. The mind stays defensive. Small problems feel big, and simple tasks feel exhausting. The morning calm acts like armor. It doesn't remove challenges, but it changes how you carry them. Many people search for peace in vacations, in silence far away, in moments they think they can't afford. But peace is already available every morning. It's free, quiet, and patient. It doesn't require a perfect life, only a willing heart and a waking body. This early peace also teaches you patience. When everything is still, you learn to slow down without fear. You learn that not every moment needs urgency. You learn that your worth isn't tied to constant movement. This lesson becomes powerful later when pressure tries to rush your decisions and steal your balance. Morning peace also creates emotional strength. When you start your day calmly, criticism hurts less, stress feels manageable, and setbacks don't shake you easily. You respond instead of reacting. You observe instead of exploding. That strength isn't loud, but it's steady. The world will always bring pressure that's unavoidable, but the morning gives you a choice. To enter that pressure with a grounded mind or an exhausted one, to face demands with clarity or confusion, to begin from a place of fullness instead of lack. In the stillness of morning, you remember who you are before you remember what you must do. You reconnect with intention before obligation. You meet yourself without performance, without masks, without expectations. Gently changes how the rest of the day unfolds quietly, gently, deeply. Motivation is loud in the beginning. It makes promises, creates excitement, and gives you the feeling that change will be easy. But motivation is emotional, and emotions change quickly. One bad night, one heavy thought, one small failure, and motivation disappears without warning. Discipline stays when motivation leaves. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't need applause or excitement. It shows up even when you feel tired, even when progress is slow, even when nobody notices. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel it, asks what needs to be done. Discipline builds results while motivation only builds intention. Many people wait to feel inspired before they act. They believe they need energy to begin, but in reality, energy comes after action. Discipline understands this truth. Wait. When you cane inside to the obvious danger. Wait. When you rely on discipline, you stop negotiating with your mind and start leading it. Motivation says, do it when you feel ready. Discipline says, do it because you decided. This difference changes everything. Life doesn't wait for perfect moods. Responsibilities don't pause because you feel low. Dreams don't shrink because you feel tired. Discipline respects reality and works within it. Discipline is built through repetition, not intensity. You don't need extreme effort once in a while. You need small effort every day. Discipline grows when you keep showing up, even imperfectly. Missing one day doesn't break discipline, giving up does. Discipline forgives mistakes but doesn't allow excuses to settle. People often think discipline is harsh, but true discipline is a form of self-care. It protects you from regret. It saves you from last-minute stress. It builds structure in a chaotic world. Discipline creates freedom because it reduces confusion. When you know what to do, your mind feels lighter. Motivation depends on external factors. Motivation depends on internal commitment. Motivation rises when life feels good. Discipline holds you steady when life feels heavy. This is why disciplined people progress faster, not because they're stronger, but because they're consistent. In discipline also builds self-respect. Every time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen trust with yourself. That trust becomes confidence. Confidence reduces fear. Reduced fear increases action. Action builds momentum. Momentum changes identity. There will be days when motivation is zero. On those days, discipline becomes your bridge. It carries you across boredom, doubt, and resistance. It doesn't make the journey exciting, but it makes it possible. Without discipline, goals remain ideas. With discipline, ideas become habits. Discipline doesn't demand perfection, it demands presence. It asks you to show up as you are, not as you wish to be. Some days you'll be slow, some days you'll struggle. And it doesn't allow quitting. Over time, discipline reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries, and you start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. That shift is powerful. You no longer depend on motivation to move. You move because movement is part of who you are. Motivation starts journeys. Discipline finishes them. Motivation feels good. Discipline works. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Consistency changes life, not luck. Many people wait for a lucky break, a perfect opportunity, or a sudden shift that will change everything. They believe success arrives as a moment, but real change arrives as a pattern. It's built quietly through repeated actions that may not feel important in the beginning. And progress repeated long enough transforms life. Small actions done consistently have more power than big actions done rarely. One focused hour every day is stronger than one intense day every month. Consistency builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds commitment. Many people give up because they don't see instant results. They forget that consistency works in layers. The first layer builds discipline. The second builds skill. The third builds results. If you quit at the first layer, you never reach the others. Consistency also removes decision fatigue. When something becomes routine, it requires less mental effort. You stop debating whether to act, you simply act. This saves energy and reduces stress. Life becomes more stable and predictable. You becomes more stable and predictable. By Chinchi Menie Gon. When you repeat an action daily, it stops being something you do and becomes something you are. You're no longer someone who tries, you're someone who shows up. This identity shift is more powerful than motivation. Luck may open a door once. The consistency builds the house behind that door. Without consistency, even lucky opportunities are wasted. With consistency, even small opportunities become valuable. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means returning after mistakes. It means continuing after slow days. It means choosing progress over pride. This flexibility keeps you moving forward. People often underestimate how much consistency compounds. A small habit repeated daily grows silently. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into years. One day the results feel sudden, but they were always being built. Consistency builds trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise, you strengthen that trust. That trust becomes confidence. Confidence fuels courage. Courage invites growth. Life feels unstable when actions are random. Consistency creates structure. When you know what you'll do daily, the future feels less uncertain. Consistency also builds resilience. When effort becomes routine, challenges feel normal. You stop taking setbacks personally. You adjust and continue. This resilience keeps you from quitting. Luck often benefits those who are already consistent. Opportunities appear, but only those prepared can use them. Consistency prepares you without you realizing it. People may not notice your effort in the beginning. Consistency works in silence, but silence doesn't mean uselessness. It means focus. When you rely on luck, you wait. When you rely on consistency, you build. Waiting feels safe, but building changes life. Consistency doesn't need excitement, it needs commitment. Over time, commitment becomes strength. Strength becomes stability. Stability becomes success. Life rarely changes in one dramatic moment. It changes through daily actions repeated with patience. Consistency carries you forward, even when hope feels low, even when progress feels slow, even when nobody's watching. Action defeats excuses instantly. Excuses survive only in thinking. They grow stronger when you stay still, when you overanalyze, when you wait for the right feeling. The moment you take action, excuses lose their power. They don't disappear because they're proven wrong. They disappear because movement leaves no space for them to speak. They sound protective. They sound like wisdom. But in reality, they're fear wearing a calm voice. Fear of discomfort. Fear of starting something that may not work. Excuses convince you that waiting is safer than trying. Action exposes that lie. Thinking feels productive, but without action, it becomes a trap. You plan, you prepare, you promise yourself that tomorrow will be better. Meanwhile, excuses quietly build walls around your potential. Action breaks those walls without discussion. It doesn't argue, it moves. You don't need confidence to act. Confidence is often the result of action, not the cause of it. When you take the first step, even while doubting yourself, you create proof. That proof weakens excuses. The proof weakens excuses. Was unnecessary. Excuses need time, they need hesitation, they need comfort. Action removes all three. When you act immediately, you don't give excuses the chance to organize. A small movement, standing up, opening a notebook, starting the task is enough to shift control back to you. Many people believe they need to fix their mindset before acting, but mindset changes through experience, not through waiting. Action creates feedback. Feedback creates learning. Learning creates growth. Excuses block this entire process by keeping you inactive. Action also simplifies life. When you're stuck in excuses, everything feels complicated. Decisions feel heavy. Tasks feel impossible. Once you start, complexity reduces. You realize that many fears existed only in your head. Action replaces imagination with reality. Excuses often protect comfort, not happiness. Comfort keeps you familiar, but familiarity can become a cage. Action builds self-trust. Each time you act despite resistance, you strengthen your belief in yourself. You begin to see yourself as someone who moves forward, not someone who waits. This identity shift makes future excuses weaker before they even appear. There will always be reasons to delay. Life will never offer perfect conditions. If you wait for certainty, you'll wait forever. Action accepts uncertainty and moves anyway. That acceptance is strength. Action doesn't require perfection. It requires willingness. You can act tired. You can act sure. You can act unsure. Action meets you where you are and carries you forward. Excuses keep you busy explaining. Action keeps you busy building. One keeps you talking about life. The other changes it. The difference isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. Excuses keep you busy. Action, you choose growth. Every time you act, you remind your mind that you're in control. Excuses lose their voice when action speaks first. Small steps create strong habits. People often believe that change requires big actions, dramatic decisions, and sudden transformations. But real growth usually begins in quiet, almost invisible ways. Small steps don't look impressive at first, and that's why many people ignore them. But what's small is repeatable, and what's repeatable becomes powerful over time. A small step feels easy enough to start. It doesn't scare the mind. It doesn't demand too much energy. It fits into busy days and tired moods. Because it feels manageable, you're more likely to do it again tomorrow. Big goals often fail because they rely on big effort. Big effort needs high motivation, perfect timing, and strong emotions. Small steps only need willingness. You don't need to feel confident to take a small step. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to begin. That beginning removes fear and replaces it with motion. Small steps also reduce pressure. When the goal feels overwhelming, the mind resists. It creates excuses, delays, and distractions. But when the task is small, the mind stays calm. There's no fight, no resistance, no drama. You act without overthinking, and that action builds momentum. Momentum doesn't come from doing a lot at once. It comes from doing a little without stopping. Each small step adds a layer of progress. Each layer strengthens the habit. Over time, those layers become structure. That structure holds you even on days when discipline feels weak. Small habits are easier to protect. They don't demand perfect conditions. You can do them when life is busy, when energy is low, when motivation is missing because they're simple. They survive chaos, and anything that survives chaos becomes reliable. Small steps also teach patience. They remind you that growth isn't rushed. You learn to trust the process instead of chasing results. You stop asking for instant change and start respecting gradual improvement. This patience reduces frustration and keeps you consistent. Many people quit not because they're weak, but because they expect too much too soon. Small steps remove that expectation. They allow you to succeed daily. Each success, even the tiny one, sends a signal to your brain that change is possible. That belief keeps you moving forward. Habits built through small steps are flexible. They can grow naturally. What starts as 5 minutes becomes 10. What begins as once a day becomes automatic. Small steps also build confidence quietly. You may not notice it at first, but each completed action strengthens your sense of control. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to believe that you can follow through. Strong habits aren't created by intensity. They're created by consistency. Small steps make consistency possible. They lower the barrier to entry and remove the fear of failure. When failure feels unlikely, action becomes natural. Over time, people look at your results and think you changed suddenly. They don't see the small steps you took daily. They don't see the quiet mornings, the simple routines, the repeated effort. But those small steps were always working, shaping your habits, shaping your days, shaping your life. Sleep is often treated as something optional, something that can be sacrificed for work, entertainment, or distractions. But sleep isn't a luxury, it's a foundation. Without it, effort becomes heavy. Focus becomes weak. Discipline starts to break. Goals require energy. Energy doesn't come from motivation alone, it comes from rest. When sleep is ignored, the body pays the price first, then the mind follows. You may stay awake longer, but your thinking becomes slower. Decisions become emotional. Respecting sleep means understanding that rest is part of progress, not the enemy of it. You can't build a strong future on a tired mind. You can't expect consistency from an exhausted body. Sleep supports every habit you're trying to build. Many people confuse late nights with hard work. They believe staying awake proves dedication, but true dedication is sustainable. If your routine burns you out, it will eventually break you. Sleep protects you from burnout by restoring balance. When sleep is neglected, discipline weakens. Waking up becomes harder. Focus disappears. Temptations become stronger. You start relying on shortcuts and excuses. Sleep strengthens self-control. A rested mind resists distractions more easily. Respecting sleep also improves emotional stability. Lack of sleep increases irritation, impatience, and anxiety. You react faster and regret more. Sleep calms the nervous system. It allows emotions to settle. It gives you space between feeling and reacting. Sleep improves learning and memory. The brain processes information during rest. Skills sharpen. Ideas connect. Without sleep, effort doesn't stick. You work harder but progress less. Respecting sleep also means respecting time. Going to bed on time is a form of discipline. It requires saying no to unnecessary scrolling, unnecessary conversations, unnecessary noise. It requires protecting tomorrow by making a decision tonight. Goals demand consistency. Consistency demands routine. Routine demands rest. Without it, routines fall apart. Many people push themselves endlessly and wonder why progress feels slow. They forget that growth needs recovery. Muscles grow during rest. Minds sharpen during rest. Vision becomes clear during rest. Respecting sleep also improves mornings. When you sleep well, waking up feels natural. You start the day with control instead of chaos. This control carries into work, decisions, and interactions. Sleep teaches patience. It reminds you that not everything can be rushed. Some things require time and stillness. Accepting rest is accepting reality. When sleep is respected, productivity increases without effort. Focus lasts longer. Tasks feel lighter. Time feels manageable. This efficiency saves hours without stress. Respecting sleep is also self-respect. It's listening to your body instead of forcing it. It's choosing long-term success over short-term stimulation. Goals aren't achieved by sacrificing health. They're achieved by aligning habits. Sleep aligns your body, mind, and intentions. Ignoring sleep may give you extra hours today, but it steals clarity tomorrow. Over time, that cost becomes heavy. Respecting sleep is a quiet decision that supports every visible effort. It strengthens discipline, protects focus, and preserves energy. Without sleep, goals become harder to chase. With sleep, they feel possible and steady. Early hours build mental clarity. When the day begins before the world wakes up, the mind feels lighter, calmer, and more focused. There's no rush to respond, no pressure to perform, no need to impress. Your thoughts aren't competing with noise. They flow naturally, without interruption, without resistance. Mental clarity isn't something you force. It appears when the mind has space. Early hours create that space. No notifications pulling attention, no conversations demanding energy, no problems arriving all at once. This freshness allows you to think deeply instead of reacting quickly. During early hours, the mind isn't cluttered with opinions. You're not influenced by what others are doing, saying, or expecting. This independence sharpens clarity. You make decisions based on intention, not pressure. You understand your priorities better when the world is silent. Clarity also comes from rhythm. The body and mind follow natural cycles. Early hours align with those cycles. Cortisol levels support alertness. The brain processes information more efficiently. Focus feels natural instead of forced. Tasks that feel heavy later in the day feel manageable in the morning. When you wake up late, the mind enters chaos immediately. You rush. You skip pauses. You start the day already behind. That rush clouds thinking. Decisions become emotional. Focus breaks easily. Decisions become emotional. When you wake up lately, early hours prevent this chain reaction by slowing the beginning. Mental clarity allows you to see problems as they are, not bigger than they need to be. In the quiet of the morning, challenges feel solvable. You can break them into steps. You can think logically without panic. This clarity changes how you approach the entire day. Early hours also strengthen awareness. You notice your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. You observe emotions without drowning in them. This awareness improves emotional regulation. You choose instead of drifting. Clarity improves creativity. Ideas surface when the mind isn't distracted. Solutions appear when the brain is relaxed. Early hours provide the perfect environment for creativity to breathe. You connect thoughts easily. You see patterns. You think long-term instead of short-term. Mental clarity is also built through consistency. When you wake up early regularly, your brain learns to focus at that time. Focus becomes a habit. Deep thinking becomes easier. Over time, clarity extends beyond the morning and stays with you throughout the day. People often look for clarity through overthinking, discussions, and endless research. But clarity is often lost in noise. Silence gives answers faster than noise ever can. Early hours give silence freely. Clarity improves self-control. When the mind is clear, temptations lose strength. Distractions lose appeal. You make choices based on values, not impulses. This control improves productivity without stress. Early hours help you connect actions with purpose. You're not rushing through tasks, you understand why you're doing them. Purpose sharpens focus. Focus strengthens clarity. When clarity becomes part of your mornings, confusion reduces in your life. You feel grounded. You feel prepared. You feel mentally organized. Problems no longer feel overwhelming because your mind is trained to process, not panic. Mental clarity doesn't come from intelligence alone. It comes from environment, timing, and habits. Early hours combine all three naturally. They offer a clean mental slate, free from yesterday's noise and today's pressure, allowing the mind to work the way it was meant to. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, my dear.